Can we
Right.
talk a little bit about what the problem is with calorie counting and why? Because if it were true, then we would lose an incremental amount of weight every single day, and we would always lose weight. If we're always eating at a deficit of 500 calories a day, we would always lose a pound a week, every week until we weighed zero. And
Right.
unfortunately, that doesn't work. Can you tell us what's going on there?
Right. Well, first of all, I like, another way to describe that philosophy is some people call it ELM, eat less, exercise more. And I like to say for many people, Elm Street is a dead end because they try that and they're told that's going to work and it doesn't work. And they try it again and again and again, and it continues not to work. So one of the problems with calorie counting is I see, and by the way, I'm not saying in my book, nor do I believe that calories don't matter at all. There's some people, that say that, and that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Calories do count, but as I say, counting them typically doesn't work. And so one reason for that is fairly straightforward, and that is that calorie counting is an imprecise activity. I mean, what we see, you see those numbers, the top of the nutrition label. It's a bold number that this food has 232 calories, and we're led to believe that's a precise number. But in fact, that number is often not accurate. Under law, those numbers, people often don't know this, Alan, but under law, those numbers can be up to 20% off. So often, and in many cases, that error is an undercount. So it could be that we're getting actually the number of calories we think we're getting is not accurate. So just for starters, just the whole process of trying to count them accurately is not easy. And then never mind that it's for most of the foods we eat, we don't have calorie counts. You're not going to, most restaurants are not going to have calorie counts on menus. If you eat at someone's house, if you cook your own meal, you're not going to know. And trying to estimate calories is very, very difficult, trying to do so accurately. So that's a problem for starters, is why calorie counting doesn't work. But there's a bigger problem, and that is that our bodies act in a way more complicated than just the number of calories we consume. There are other factors at work that are involved in weight regulation. One certainly is genetics. We all know people that we say they're very lucky. They have great genetics, so to speak, because they can eat whatever they want. They eat all kinds of foods and they never seem to gain weight. And then somebody else we know will eat very little and then they gain a lot of weight. And so genetics, we know from studies, play a very large role in determining how a given amount of food will affect somebody's weight. And that it varies from person to person. We're also learning more and more about the so-called microbiome. That is the mix of microbes in our guts. And that can determine, that can have a large influence in some cases on how many of the calories we consume that we actually absorb. Because, it's not necessarily the calories that we consume that matters. It's how many of those calories our body actually absorbs versus excretes. So that's an important consideration as well. And again, something that science is showing more and more about all the time. And then there's the whole issue of our metabolisms. As we cut calories, as we lose weight, our metabolism slows down so that it takes fewer calories. We have to eat fewer and fewer calories to continue to lose weight. And often it's sort of a cruel trick of evolution that actually is a gift. It was meant to, it's there to protect us in case of famine. So essentially our bodies become more fuel efficient as we lose weight in order to keep us from wasting away. But the problem, of course, today, thankfully, is we don't have to deal with famines in modern society and Western civilization. But if we're trying to lose weight, it's a big problem because our bodies are essentially fighting us. And so that's something else that's sort of lost in this conversation about, well, it's just a linear process. If you cut calories, then you will keep losing weight. If you cut it down, if you have a certain negative energy balance. But what that doesn't take into consideration is the way the body essentially fights back. And so all of these things, I think, and there are other factors as well, are often lost in this discussion about calories in, calories out, because it's sort of simplified to this simple math equation. And it's, in fact, far more complicated than that.